I'm gonna bet you're here because you have a hood or a fender or some body panel hatch that you want to skin in carbon fiber. Maybe somebody told you it couldn't be done. Well, if you don't know who I am, I'm Steve and I am a carbon fiber fanatic, and I'm gonna show you today how to do it. Let's take, for example, this hatch that is faded, oxidized, and just plain ugly. We can fix this. We're gonna take some steps I'm gonna show you, but more importantly, right now the body panels don't line up. They're a little bit high. Now we have to keep in mind we are adding about 1 millimeter to this, so maybe we can adjust it down. We'll come back to that in a second. If you're wondering how to make your carbon fiber look new again, it did rain for 3 days, but this is a hood that I did re-clear. That was carbon fiber and super oxidized. So there's a video there. I'll put the link in the description right here, and you can check out how I re-clear coated this hood right in my garage. Now, the first thing we need to do before we do anything is we need to make this black. If you're working with a black car, it's okay, but if you're working with anything other than black, it is best to make it black because it will bleed through. Now, you can use an aerosol and spray paint it. I don't recommend it because it can bleed through. So we're gonna make this black. First step is we're gonna hit this with something really aggressive, probably a 40 or 80 grit, and we're gonna drape some plastic over here to protect the rest of the paint. And what I've got here is just some standard, cheap, thin painter's plastic. Nothing fancy, but does the job. I'm gonna put it just like this. That. And then I'm just gonna use some tape to secure it so it doesn't blow into our working area. All right, good enough for the girls I date. Now I've got here some 40 grit on orbital sander. You don't have to use air. You can use anything. You can use your hand if you want. But you want to make sure it's aggressive. It's not going to bleed through. Our next step is you want everything to bond to this. So you want it as clean and as aggressive as possible. Something like that. Now, if you're working on something newer and the moldings are readily available, I would encourage you to take the molding out and get a new one. Now, this molding is older than some of you watching this video, so I'm not gonna take it out. I'm just gonna try and work around it. I'm gonna end up masking it off. You'll see after to protect it and keep it clean. But anyway, it's all scuffed up. Next step. Now again, as I mentioned before, if you have access to your moldings, I would encourage you to get new ones. And also mentioned that these moldings were made in 1996. And not only are they not easy to get, it's gonna come apart in about 700 pieces when I try and take it out. Maybe your window's already out. That would be a good time to do this. There you go, something like that. That's gonna protect the molding as we're working around it. All right guys, next up I've got a little bit of a gel coat here that I've dyed black. This is an unwaxed gel coat. And then I added extra MUKP just to make sure it cures and catalyzes faster, because if this plastic blows up, it's gonna get all over everything. So just do that intentionally. So we'll get it laid down here. And then that will allow our carbon fiber to bond to something, but also hide the light color of silver underneath it, just like Bob Ross. You guys remember Bob Ross, the painter? Just like that. Painting a little bird here. It's got to work fast so that this doesn't gel up on me. Okay guys, gel coat is pretty cured. It's an unwaxed one, so it's kind of got a film on here. But anyway, it cured a little faster than hoped. It'll have some high spots, so we're just gonna go knock those down quick with some 80 grit here, and then on to the next step. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna peel this tape off, and I'm gonna re-tape it just to make sure we have a good sharp line of where the gel coat was, because we don't want to build it up too tall or we're gonna have a major issue with it looking goofy, goofier than it already does. So there, I'll go ahead and I'll remask that. Well, because my neighbor's alarm's been going off for the last hour. I don't want to wait any longer. So, oh look, now it shuts off. Okay guys, we got that smooth. Now is the exciting part, is the carbon fiber. I do have a major imperfection right here. I'm going to try and fix best I can, but you can see how transparent carbon fiber is, and that's why we went ahead and put that gel coat down, or whatever you choose to use. But we're going to trim this to size now. Something important to mention is, see the Kevlar on the outside of the carbon fiber here? You want to make sure you cut that off. And Kevlar is extremely hard to cut, but we'll get to that. First is we're going to, this was the end of a roll that I got, and I can see I'm not too happy with the quality of it, but it's neither here nor there. I don't know, it all looks kind of rough, I guess. We can fix it. So I'm going to get this on here. I'm going to get it trimmed up, and then we're going to get to the exciting stuff. I have to say, I'm really not happy with this roll of carbon fiber. I'm actually very disappointed. It was the end of a roll. I went there quick, and I was just like, they need something. He's like, here's a yard on the end of a roll, and I was like, cool. But it is not cut straight. It's actually cut terribly, all messed up everywhere. Honestly, I'm probably gonna make this video and just take it off, sand it off, because like, it's bad, but whatever. Whatever, we're this far into it, and I paid $72 for the roll, so it is what it is. So I'm just going around and I'm trimming it. Now you don't want to trim it right up to the edge because it does shrink a little bit. You just kind of get, within a ½ inch. I did back into the garage here. It was windy outside and I didn't want dust blowing into our epoxy. We get to that point. If we do, I might end up just getting mad and tearing this all off, but we'll see. I mean, I guess I do have a Type R spoiler I'm putting on it, so kind of covers it up a little bit. Maybe it won't look that bad. I'm just kidding, it's gonna look bad. That's all right, Type R spoiler will go like this. Maybe you won't see it that much. Oh, yeah, it wasn't cut straight too. I don't know if I mentioned that. It didn't matter how I tried to angle it. I'm gonna have to piece it together over here too. So that's awesome. I'm just gonna go around, finish cutting this, and I'll see you guys in a few minutes. I'm actually super annoyed by the quality of this carbon because it takes me the same amount of work, if not more, to work with it. Hey, bud.
Can we make popcorn?
No, I think Mom wants to go out for dinner tonight for Jaren's graduation, but I'll talk to her when she gets home.
Only one popcorn.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the key is here. You want to get it under the molding. And when you're working with a molding, it's 20-something years old. It'll be interesting, but we're gonna win. Like I said, if you have a molding readily available or a newer car, I'd recommend pulling it out and save yourself. I'd also recommend that when you get your carbon, you check it so you don't end up in the same boat as me. Usually I'm there when they're rolling it, but this day I wasn't. Okay, so I'm just mixing up this product called vinyl ester resin. It's basically a hybrid epoxy polyurethane. And I like it because it's a lot more cost effective when you're making a lot of this in big quantities. Somebody just fired up a CTSV over there with a big cam in it. It's pretty awesome. You guys will hear it go by. Hold on. Hold on. I paused my movie here. Oh, never mind. He's pulling out the garage. Anyway, back to what we were doing. Vinyl ester resin. So it's a hybrid polyester. So I like it because it's a lot more cost effective. And when you're doing lots of this stuff, it makes a difference. We're gonna lightly brush it on here, and then we're gonna wait a couple hours, and we're gonna lightly brush some more on, then we're gonna wait a couple hours, and we're gonna do it a third time, and then we're gonna sand it. In between coats though, you'll see we're gonna go and trim around the edges and just keep everything as clean as we can as we go. Let's party. You don't wanna use too much pressure, almost no pressure, because there's nothing holding this down, and it's just gonna pull away if you use too much. And I didn't put tape down on there because I was tucking it under there, so we're just gonna get it up close to that edge. This is actually probably gonna look like shit when I'm done. I'm really not impressed with this carbon fiber. It actually pisses me off. I'm tempted to just tear it off here, but I'm not going to be a whiny bitch. I'm not going to be a whiny bitch about it as I whine about it. Okay guys, I'm just finishing up coat 1, and then what I've done is I've just kind of gone and cut in. If you've ever painted a house by the ceiling and you just kind of cut in, that's what I've done along the top edge here. The more I do this, the madder I get about the quality of this carbon. Anyway, so when you go around the edge like this, you want to make sure you can see the shape of what you're working on, because that's where you're going to be trimming it after. And see how this is pushing away? There's something under here. Yeah, like that. Exactly. You don't want to use too much epoxy. It absorbs a lot more than you think. The best way to do this is actually to let it soak through. So you lay the epoxy down and then you put the carbon on it. The problem with that on this particular situation is you have to push it under the molding. So you can't really do that very good. Okay, I'm gonna let this vinyl ester resin cure for a few hours and get on the second coat. And then I'll see you guys when I'm done that. All right, boys, she's looking pretty fire. I'm gonna sand this outside here because it is windy, so it'll help keep my garage clean. Look, a mosquito. It was a mosquito. Gonna sand it all down. I've got 3 layers of epoxy on here now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sand it, make sure we get it relatively level without burning through. If we can, fantastic. We're gonna move up in grits all the way up to a 1000. If we can't, if I start sanding this and say like a 220 or a 180 and I find that it's just not going flat or there's a possibility of burning through somewhere, I'm gonna add another layer on it. So let's get sanding, see what we can do, how it turns out, and go from there. Okay, so something like that is what I've done. I've gone ahead, I've sanded it in 400, well sorry, backing up, I started a little rougher. I started at 120, I went to 240, then I jumped to a 400, and then I finished it in a 600, which isn't great, but I'm not too picky about it. I mean, look at the car, right? Well, beggars can't be choosers. Okay, so next up what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clear coat it. Typically I'd use an HLVP gun, but this is a smaller area, so today I'm just gonna use an aerosol rattle can. I'm gonna put plastic all over this, protect everything as much as I can. That white stuff is just residue from wet sanding that. We do have some low spots. If a guy wanted to fix these, he would just go ahead and put another layer on. Again, I'm not too picky, and I plan on putting the Type R spoiler on it, which is gonna block all of that anyway, block a lot anyway. So let's get to it. And something like that is the look we're going for. Now here's the downside. This is exactly why I hate using rattle can. Because when you're almost done, you run out of frickin' clear coat. Unbelievable. I'm gonna have to sand this. I'm just gonna hit it with an HLVP. Then it's good. 2 passes. Good to go. It costs a fraction of what rattle cans do. There, and after I went over it with the HLVP gun, because I made 2 passes and it's significantly better than there is some dust in it now. God damn it, I just can't wait. All right, anyway, that's it.